In just the last 30 minutes, it's been reported across various news media outlets that the military is tracking a high-altitude balloon flying over the western United States today, February the 23rd, 2024. Take a look at the headlines coming out. Now, members of Congress, they are reacting to a report of a new balloon that is flying over the United States, and the U.S. is tracking a new high-altitude balloon, and this is 1 year after the Chinese spy balloon. I'm going to be covering the details for you as these articles coming out about this high-altitude balloon spotted over the western United States today. Now, this comes as we just received just a couple days ago a warning from the FBI director saying that the Chinese cyber attacks on the U.S. infrastructure systems is now at unprecedented scales. Christopher Wray had warned that the prepositioned malware could be triggered to disrupt critical systems in the United States. As I mentioned, warnings coming out in just the past couple days. FBI warns of unprecedented increase in Chinese cyber attacks on the United States. We originally had heard that maybe 24 infrastructure systems in the U.S. had been compromised. Now we're hearing it is multiple times more than that. And just yesterday, AT&T had a major outage. They are saying it was not a cyber attack. However, experts saying that if it was in fact a cyber attack, that AT&T likely wouldn't even tell us, given their history of being hit with cyber attacks, not reporting on it. And warnings coming out from Congress. Marco Rubio warns that the Chinese cyber attack will be 100 times worse than the AT&T outage. It's going to be your power, it's going to be your water, it's going to be your bank accounts, he said. Now, I'm going to share with you the latest coming out on this, and they're also saying that these spy balloons, that they were actually operating by tapping into United States internet servers. Take a look at this video footage.
We're learning more this hour about how the Chinese spy balloon communicated with Beijing as it flew across the U.S. earlier this year. U.S. intelligence officials have reportedly determined the balloon used in an American internet service provider to send and receive messages. This, according to NBC News. Those communications were mostly related to navigation.
Now, I'm going to dive into these articles as this is breaking news just coming out, and I'm going to get you caught up on everything so you know the latest of what's going on so far. But before we dive in, do me a quick favor. If you appreciate the updates, don't forget, take a quick second, smash that like button for me, hit subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? And to stay connected off of social media platforms in case communications are disrupted, be sure to join me at the newsletter at www.steveramnews.com. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in and take a look at these articles coming out in just the last 30 minutes. All right, so link in the description below to this article from Forbes that just came out a little while ago that says the U.S. tracks a new high-altitude balloon 1 year after the Chinese spy balloon. Here's what to know. Now, the top line, U.S. officials are tracking a high-altitude balloon floating over the Rocky Mountains, officials said Friday afternoon, just over a year after the U.S. Air Force fighter jets shot down a suspected Chinese spy balloon that drifted over the country, which drew national attention and sparked fears of major Chinese surveillance operations. Now, here are the key facts. While not much is known yet about the balloon, officials told CBS that it was spotted by military aircrafts over Colorado Friday morning today. The balloon, floating at an altitude of over 40,000 feet, around the upper level of a typical commercial jet's cruising altitude, is not believed to be a threat, though its purpose and origin remain a mystery, the officials told CBS. Officials believe that the object is made of a polyester mylar material with a small box attached to it, and expect it to travel eastward over the Great Plains to as far as Georgia by Friday night. Forbes has reached out to the Department of Defense and the North American Aerospace Defense Command for confirmation. Now, here's the key background. Just over a year ago, a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon was spotted over Montana, and while Defense Department Secretary Lloyd Austin let Americans know at the time that it posed no civilian threat, its purpose remained shrouded in mystery, with some lawmakers urgently calling on the military to shoot it down. Days later, after the balloon was traversed from the Great Plains to the East Coast, Air Force fighter jets did shoot it down, but only after it crossed over the South Carolina coastline above the Atlantic Ocean, where U.S. Navy divers were able to recover the debris. After its recovery, U.S. officials determined that the balloon was made with U.S. components as well as specialized Chinese sensors. The Wall Street Journal reported, citing unnamed officials who had added the balloon was capable of taking photos and videos that could be transmitted to China. The Biden administration condemned it as an unacceptable and irresponsible violation of international law, claiming that the balloon was used to collect surveillance information. China denied the claims, maintaining that the balloon was in a civilian airspace used simply for weather purposes and that it had drifted astray. Let me know if you believe that in the comments. Now, surprising facts. The balloon's renewed tensions between Beijing and Washington put the military on high alert for additional surveillance mechanisms, including an object spotted over the Great Lakes just 1 week later. U.S. military forces shot that down over Lake Huron, though officials said that it was not a threat. And here you can see just moments ago, members of Congress are reacting to the report of the new balloon that is flying over the United States. It says U.S. lawmakers are responding to reports that the Pentagon is tracking a high-altitude balloon over the western part of the country. A Chinese spy balloon was shot down by the U.S. after it traversed over the continent last year. CBS News reported on Friday that the newly spotted balloon was seen over Colorado, and defense officials had determined that it was not a threat, although its origins and purpose remain unknown. U.S. Senator Jon Tester and Representative Matt Rosendale, both of Montana, each said that they were monitoring the developments in posts on X, formerly Twitter. Now, let me know your thoughts on this in the comments down below. Should they shoot this down immediately, especially with all the potential threats that we've been hearing coming from cyber attacks from China, these warnings over the past couple months from the FBI, and now we're seeing a balloon. We don't know where it's from or what its purpose is, but we know that we had spy balloons for several years flying over the United States. And take a look at this article coming out just yesterday, as just a couple days ago I shared with you we had warnings from the FBI director. FBI and the CISA warn of Chinese cyber attacks on U.S. critical infrastructures. Recently, there has been a surge in alerts and warnings concerning cyber attacks by People's Republic of China, the PRC, state-sponsored threat actors on U.S. critical infrastructure. On February the 7th, 2024, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or the FBI, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the CISA, along with the National Security Agency and their counterparts in Australia, Canada, the UK, issued an advisory warning to governmental organizations regarding Chinese cyber actors poised to disrupt critical infrastructure, such as water treatment plants, electrical grids, oil, natural gas pipelines, and transportation systems. This comes on the heels of the FBI Director Christopher Wray's, CISA Director Jen Easterly, and the U.S. Cyber Command Army General Paul Nakasone testifying to Congress regarding increased cyber attacks by PRC-sponsored hackers on U.S. critical infrastructure. Now, on January 31st, 2024, in Director Wray's remarks to Congress, he urged for an increased public focus on how Chinese hackers have not only been targeting U.S. military and political targets, but also civilian infrastructures in preparation for conflict in the future. Director Wray also emphasized that China has a bigger hacking program than every other major nation combined, which greatly outnumbers the FBI's cyber personnel. Director Wray further announced a successful court-authorized operation to remove malicious code found in hundreds of U.S.-based small offices, home office routers taken over by Volt Typhoon, a threat actor sponsored by PRC. Volt Typhoon's malware allowed China to exploit networks and perform operational reconnaissance to disrupt the functionality of U.S. critical infrastructure. However, according to the CISA, Director Easterly recently discovered Chinese intrusions into U.S. critical infrastructure are just the tip of the iceberg. Director Easterly provided more insight into how Chinese hackers have been targeting U.S. critical infrastructure. In her opening statement, Director Easterly mentioned how Chinese hackers easily infiltrated infrastructure by exploiting known product defects, which are the result of companies prioritizing product features and speed to market over security. Now, as I mentioned, and as you saw, this is just coming out right now, so this is a developing story. This is breaking news, and as more comes out on this, I'll be sure to let you know, but we know that there is a balloon floating over the United States. They're saying it potentially could be a spy balloon like we saw last year, but we still do not know. As more information comes out on this, I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date here on the channel. And also, we heard that there was a major cyber attack that hit across the United States yesterday with pharmacies, and that also came the same day that we had major phone outages. And again, AT&T is saying that it was not a cyber attack, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, to see the updates that I released as soon as that information came out, check out these videos right here next as I covered all the details for you. And as more comes out, like I said, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. But with that, thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.